If you like to talk about combat sports and you want to join the discussion, click the subscribe button below and the bell notification icon next to it and join Knucklehead Nation. What's going on, Knuckleheads? Thank you so much for joining us for Anxiety Sunday. I wanted to get on here just to shoot the shit with you guys today and talk about the aftermath of Deontay Wilder's fight last night against Ortiz 2. And there's something I've been wanting to talk about with regards to Deontay Wilder that I found interesting and something that I found coincidental to this whole right hand mystic vicious power wherever it's coming from. And so often they talk to Deontay Wilder behind the scenes and he says how his grandmother told his family that he was anointed and that he was going to be this special person as he grew older. And a lot of people have discredited Deontay Wilder in his sort of trajectory to earning that WBC belt and even beyond, all the way up until last night. I know me personally, I did not like the fact that I felt like he lost every single round in that fight up until he landed that monstrous right hand against Ortiz and baptized him. Baptized him just clean out of consciousness and gave him, 10 to 15 seconds to return back to reality. And yes, I mean, I'm one of those people that's criticized Deontay Wilder, not because I don't like him. He's my favorite heavyweight, and I think he's the best heavyweight right now. I think if you look at his performances and his consistency and everything else, you got to give him, at this point, the heavyweight crown. Even though he doesn't have the majority of the belts, he's got the WBC belt, and I think you got to give him, again, based on his record, his performances, his consistency, the number one spot in the heavyweight division. But I found it, extremely, extremely heart-wrenching, that fight last night. Not only because he wasn't doing anything throughout the entirety of the fight up until that last right hand landed. Pretty much the first and last right hand that landed, because I didn't really see him land too much other than that punch that was clean. But, a thing that I wanted to bring up was, man, that right hand, and does it relate? Does it relate, and is the universe trying to tell us something about Deontay Wilder where he's got a pendant, right, that allegedly has his initials on it? But if you look at the thumbnail for this video, those are exactly the letters that are used in Arabic to spell the word Allah, which means God. And I feel like this man has God-like ability in that right hand. And despite the fact, my goodness, despite the fact that he was losing that entire fight up until that very last second, somehow he's able to find his range, find that opening, and with just one shot, end the fight. Completely end the fight with just one shot. It's absurd. You couldn't make it up. It's just completely absurd. This man has been outboxed by so many different fighters. And yesterday was the most stark example of him being completely outboxed and then coming back with a big punch and ending the fight. The most stark example ever that I've seen. And for a time now, I've been looking at that pendant of his and all this talk of him being anointed and all these other things. And I've said to myself, man, there's something special about this guy. There's something special about this guy, because not anybody can land a right hand like that at any time and just finish a fight. I've never, I love Mike Tyson. I love, George Foreman. I love these guys. but I've never seen anybody with the ability to do that. Let me get this phone call real quick. Hello? 315. Thanks. Sorry, you guys. So, just unbelievable. I mean, is there something? Is the universe trying to tell us something? I know this sounds ridiculous, but is the universe trying to tell us something? When a man like Deontay Wilder just coincidentally puts a pendant around his neck, the initials DW, and it's in a shape that's almost, I mean, it's in a shape that when I looked at it, I saw nothing but the word God in Arabic around this man's neck. Maybe I'm the only one that's seen it. But, you know, where else can you explain power like that? I mean, the guy doesn't weigh. He fought Tyson Fury at less than 210 pounds. Last night he weighed in, or the night before for weigh-ins for the Ortiz fight, he weighed in at 219 and a half. At 219 and a half, and I could be wrong because he actually dropped weight between the weigh-in and his fight with Tyson Fury. I think he weighed in against Tyson Fury at 212 and came in at 209 against Tyson Fury. But he was 219 and a half, and typically fighters come in a little bit heavier the day of the fight. That's typically. Deontay Wilder weighed in at 219 and a half against Luis Ortiz. That makes me feel like perhaps he came in just over 220 for the Luis Ortiz fight. 220 Deontay Wilder versus 209 or 210, whatever he was for Tyson Fury, could be the difference in Tyson Fury not getting up from that punch in their first fight, even though it landed clean. But what I'm trying to get at is, as Deontay Wilder continues to age and develop into a larger man, that power punch is going to be not only the last thing to go, but may actually continue to improve for a time. Because if he's now 220, perhaps he's less mobile, sitting down on that punch, and the prospect of that punch getting stronger is just absolutely terrifying. And he landed clean on Luis Ortiz in their last fight. But I didn't see the same effect. It could be that Luis Ortiz is already damaged goods because Wilder destroyed him in that first fight. But Wilder essentially waited 7 rounds, whether it was on purpose or not, to land that one big shot against Luis Ortiz. And that one big shot landed clean on Luis Ortiz's forehead. A lot of people are saying he punches through the guard. That punch didn't go through the guard. That punch landed flush. And that may be attributable to another thing that a lot of people may not be giving Wilder credit for, is his punching accuracy. He's obviously accurate, and he's obviously got great timing, as we saw in the Szpilka fight and as we saw last night. And as we saw against Dominic Breazeale. I mean, he finds these openings. And as we saw against Tyson Fury, even though he missed 1,000 times. But he is capable of finding this opening. And last night he found that opening, and again, it wasn't through the guard. Luis Ortiz was blocking. The punch landed on the other side of his face. Perhaps he saw Luis Ortiz using the same guard over and over again, said this man is open on this side, and cracked him. I do believe Deontay Wilder is special with regards to his accuracy. I do believe he's superhuman, demigod, semi-god with that right-handed power, man. We've never seen anything like that in any combat sport. The only person that I can think of off the top of my head in combat sports that I do not wish for anyone to get punched clean by is Francis Ngannou, who grew up working salt mines. you know, in I believe it's Senegal, and is just an absolute chiseled, Adonis specimen of a human being. He's the only person I can think of off the top of my head where if he lands a punch on you, you're in jeopardy. And he's doing it with 4-ounce gloves. Wilder's not. Wilder's got much bigger gloves on. And somehow, he's still able to eliminate. Now, let's be honest here. Luis Ortiz is a top-tier heavyweight. And Jamaican boxing, you're right, corrected me from Cameroon. I was thinking Senegal. I don't know why. I'm an idiot. I'm just so blown away by this man's power, right? He's able to eliminate people at the highest level. He's able to just completely render the best boxers in the world unconscious with one punch. And, that's why, obviously I want to see him in there against other people because he's hurt Tyson Fury and almost killed him. And I don't mean kill for real, but you know what I mean. And he's leveled Luis Ortiz twice, who, we've never seen anyone do that to Luis Ortiz. We saw what he did to Dominic Brazil, even though he's not, he's not a top tier heavyweight, but he's a decent guy, and he went a few rounds with AJ. We've seen him just lay people out left and right, man, and it's just, there's something absolutely wicked and strange about that right hand, and it's just unexplainable. It's unexplainable that a guy who, and he doesn't even look like he's putting that much into it. That right hand he hit Ortiz with yesterday was probably one of the cleaner, as far as technique goes, right hands he's landed. And that thing was absolutely brilliant. And if you watch it, he just continues to go through Ortiz as Ortiz's head snaps back. I mean, it's not like the punch connects and then bounces off, or he connects and pulls it back. He just goes right through Luis Ortiz. And Luis Ortiz head and scalp contorts in all kinds of weird ways, and it was lights out. It was good night, Lucille, as one of our contributors on the chat here would say. Thanks for joining, guys. Muay Thai 23, my brother Suleiman, D-Boy 65, Jamaican boxing. I appreciate you guys being in here. Let's take a look at what they're saying. Before we do that, be sure to hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, and the bell notification icon. It should be right down here. Donate to the super chat. Help me build this channel. Help me continue to build the promotion. We got Fighters Rep 9 coming February 28th. Be sure to get it on Fight TV. We're going to try to air it on Fight TV. And Aditya Alag, thank you so much for joining. So let's see what everybody in here is saying. I appreciate you guys joining me tonight. As I admire on this Anxiety Sunday before we go to work, the incredible, almost alien, supernatural power of the Deontay Wilder right hand. Jorge Estiels, thank you so much for joining. Greetings to you too, brother. Please, again, hit the subscribe button. So Muay Thai 23 says, who do you think gets it done in the rematch, Tyson or Wilder? And what were your thoughts on the last fight? I thought in the last fight, Tyson Fury clearly outboxed Deontay Wilder and should have earned the victory. Of course, there's some controversy as to whether he should have been counted out, but I think that's a cheap way to kind of ignore what actually happened, which is that Tyson Fury was able to outbox Deontay Wilder for 12 rounds after being out of the ring for over 2.5 years or whatever it was. That said, Tyson Fury was in real danger in that fight throughout the entirety of the fight. And a lot of people say Wilder only has to be perfect for a couple seconds. His opponents have to be perfect for 12 rounds. I don't think that's true. I don't think that's true. I think that's very cliche. I think Tyson Fury wobbled Wilder a few times. I think if Tyson Fury wasn't skipping around so much, maybe sat down on a couple of those punches, he could have hurt Wilder. I saw him wobble Wilder a couple times in that fight. But Wilder's power, much more, and he nearly got Tyson out of there in that 12th round. And or whenever that knockout happened, 11th or 12th, I can't remember now. And or whenever it was, but he nearly got him out of there. And there's always that threat when you're fighting Deontay Wilder, and he's relied on that so much that he's gotten really good at it. He's gotten really good at it, relying on that right hand, finding his spot, landing that shot, ending the fight. So as far as a rematch goes, you know, either Tyson Fury is going to be more experienced and be able to more easily avoid that right hand, or Wilder's going to be more experienced and be more able to land it. Now, I always have to believe, because I always go with skills, and I believe Tyson Fury has more skills, so I got to go with skills to pay the bills. Even though it may sound hypocritical, I think Wilder's the best heavyweight right now, just because I don't know where Tyson Fury's head's at right now. But I think a focused, determined Tyson Fury definitely has a chance at beating Deontay Wilder by decision, perhaps even by knockout. But I think Wilder has a great chance of knocking Tyson Fury out. I just think he needs to be... more active. I don't like the fact that he just waits around. And I think that's a huge mistake in a lot of these fights against these higher tier heavyweights, because at some point they might get away from that right hand. It's going to go to a decision, and he's just going to lose, which I think he should have lost the last fight against Fury, but you know, the judges saw it how they saw it. D-Boy65 says, I think Tyson Fury could KO Wilder. Look how he stunned him in the first fight. That's exactly what I was saying. You know, people say Tyson Fury doesn't have power. I disagree with that. You know, I think Tyson Fury does have power. I think had he not, Wilder would have just walked through it and threw those right hands with reckless abandon and gotten him out of there. Jamaican Boxing says, Usain Bolt, Lionel Messi, Deontay Wilder are once-in-a-lifetime athletes. They come around once every decade. You know, and it's hard for me to put Deontay Wilder in the same breath as those other two guys, because those two are basically the best at what they do. I'm not sure Deontay Wilder's the best, but he's got the best one-hitter quitter I've ever seen in boxing. And nobody has yet figured out, other than, in my opinion, Tyson Fury, on that one time, figured out how to beat this guy. And it's amazing. I mean, it's the most unique ability I've ever seen, I think, in any sport. I mean, one of the most unique, standout abilities I've ever seen in any sport. It's incredible. Sulaiman says, Jamaican boxing, you know, a lifetime has many decades in it, right? Either once in a lifetime or once every decade. Not both, unless you die at the age of 10. Jamaican boxing says, Sulaiman, pardon my English, it's not my first language, but you know what I mean. Come on, Sulaiman, it's all good. Sulaiman says, I just seen an opportunity to make a joke and I couldn't pass it up. Sulaiman is the comic relief in here. God help us all. Aditya Lag says, what if Ngannou hits Wilder clean on the forehead in a boxing match? Do you think Wilder will be out cold? Because literally Ortiz fucked Wilder in the first fight and he did not go down. You know, I don't know. I don't know how hard Ngannou would punch with those boxing gloves on. I don't know if it would have the same effect. Something tells me it would. I think if anybody gets clipped in the heavyweight division, you know, any of these guys land a punch on the right spot at the right time, it's over. It's just Deontay Wilder's power is just, you know, it's 10 times. It's 10 times normal, man. It's 10 times normal. Jamaican Boxing says Deontay Wilder has the power of his ancestors in that right hand. If he hits you, you stay hit. Absolutely. Absolutely. Roll Tide, Crimson Tide says, great show. Thank you, brother. Really appreciate you. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. hit the bell notification icon next to it. Hey, if you guys saw the thumbnail, I wanted to ask you guys, if you guys saw the thumbnail I used, Deontay Wilder with the Deontay Wilder symbol on his chest, and then the pendant all the way to the right, or rather in the middle of Allah, which means God in Arabic, and then the Deontay Wilder symbol next to it again. Am I the only one that sees an incredible similarity between the symbols? I mean, I can spell out the word with Deontay Wilder's symbol. I mean, it's right there. It's actually, if I'm being honest, it's cleaner than the pendant. It's cleaner than the pendant because the last letter is actually looks like the real letter in Arabic. It's actually cleaner and better than the pendant. I don't know. Tell me what you guys think. Aditya Lag says, do you not like Wilder or something? I like Wilder, man. I like Wilder. I don't like the fact that I got to sit here and wait for him to land a right hand. I'm so impatient. It gives me so much anxiety watching him fight and lose round after round after round after round and hope that, man, throw the right hand. But it finally comes through eventually. I don't think, now again, I've said this before and I'll say it again, I don't think it came through for him in that Fury fight. Fury is a slippery customer, hard to hit. Will Deontay Wilder be more used to it? Will Fury get tired in the latter rounds and get caught? Perhaps. But I don't think it worked against Fury. But man, it sure as hell worked against every single other person, and it worked enough against Fury for the judges to see it a draw, even though I thought that decision was ridiculous. Suleiman says, here's a fact you guys can look up. Deontay Wilder broke his right hand multiple times. Deontay has metal pins in that hand. That is definitely something that I've always wondered how it affects the power and the person receiving that sort of power. Nonetheless, man, that punch was ridiculous last night. I mean, that was a mano de piedra, mano de Dios, man. That was a hand of God coming through. Suleiman says, I know what y'all thinking. It's just tiny metal screws, but according to Wilder himself, the pins in the right hand were long enough to bend when he knocked out Stavern. Wow. Jamaican Boxing says Fury's in Birmingham on another crack binge. That's true. Might be true, actually. I don't know. Jorge Estiel says it only takes one punch, especially from Deontay Wilder. Suleiman says, which other boxer in history broke his hand multiple times and still kept the same power, even in Wilder's case, arguably more power after breaking the hand multiple times? I'm really not sure. Jamaican Boxing says, I'm talking about his power, not his boxing. Absolutely, Jamaican. I know what you mean. But in that situation, the analogy we would have to make is we would have to say something like Dan Marino's release. You know, Usain Bolt's top end speed. I don't know, Ken Griffey Jr.'s swing, Deontay Wilder's right hand. I think we need to attribute it to a specific ability of the athlete. But you never know. I mean, if he keeps doing this, we are going to have to put him in the same breath as Messi and these guys, because if he actually fights Fury and does this to him, and then fights AJ or Ruiz, the winner of that, and does that, then it's over. Jorge Estiel says Efe Ajagba will be a star in the heavyweight. He might be. Suleiman says that was a similarity and pretty blasphemous. I don't like when stars and companies uses religious things and switch it to a brand. But Suleiman, do you think that he did that on purpose? Or was it coincidence? Because, I mean, the way I look at it is it's potential that it was done on purpose, only because so many of the jewelers, let's be honest, so many of these jewelers are Middle Eastern guys. I see them all the time in downtown. And, maybe it's something one of them created, but at the same time, it's a D and a W. So, I mean, is it on purpose or what? Is it coincidence and a complete accident? I have no idea, man. I'd love to find out. And did you notice that, Suleiman, before I put it in this thumbnail, or am I the first one to notice this? Because I've never heard anybody say anything about it. Jamaican Box says, Water's the type of guy who comes inside a room and without looking, you feel his presence. I agree, man. I really like this guy, man. I really like this guy. He's a freaking anomaly, man. He's an anomaly. I just hate the fact that I gotta wait, 5 to 8 rounds or whatever it is for him to unleash that power, man. It's like, dude, you can't keep taking those chances. It's like, it's crazy. Suleiman says, Tyson Fury's busy playing touch butt in the park with Darren Till. Oh, my God. Finally, we got Jamaican Boxing saying, Suleiman Waters a religious person. Look who he thanks after all his fights. That's true. And Suleiman says, I just noticed that when you pointed it out. I really want to find out if this is something he did on purpose because it looks exactly like Allah in Arabic, or if it's something that somebody put a D and W together in a creative way and it just happened to look like that, man. That's just crazy to me. And it's something that I noticed the first time I looked at it. I was like, does that say Allah on his chest? And then, I don't know. Suleiman says 100% on purpose. It's way too similar. But nobody's ever said anything about it, Suleiman. You just noticed it now. You just noticed it now, my brother. So who knows? Who knows? Maybe we can get him on this show, or get somebody from his family or friends or somebody on this show to maybe give us an insight, because I'm absolutely interested to see if he did that on purpose or not. Marco Martinez says Water is a one-note fighter. He has not fought enough in the top competition. The more top fighters he fights, he will look worse and worse. And he looked horrible yesterday, Marco. He looked horrible yesterday, my man, until he landed that amazing, incredible punch. But again, the worst part for me that drove me insane was not only waiting for that punch to get thrown, but also the announcers telling me that he was fighting a smart fight. Bro, just stop it. Stop insulting our intelligence as boxing fans. Stop it. His power is amazing, says Marco Martinez, but he will be outboxed by guys like Usyk. I want to see that fight. So, knuckleheads, I appreciate you guys joining the chat very much. Marco Martinez, stop hating. You just mad because Canelo's rap name is Little Hydration Clause. That's hilarious. I appreciate you guys joining the chat. I'm actually going to go eat something now. I'm really hungry again, just like yesterday. But, I wanted to come on here, give Wilder his just due, because a lot of people may have confused what I said yesterday with hate. But I was more than anything just upset, A, by the broadcasters, B, by Wilder waiting 7 rounds to throw a punch. And I also wanted to get this pendant thing. I wanted to get this pendant thing handled. I wanted to talk about that. I thought that was kind of weird. And Marco Martinez looks like he got you back, Jamaican Boxing, with you trying to compare Wilder to Messi. Oh, I'll let you guys handle that. Jorge Estiels, thank you for joining, brother. Hit that subscribe button. Buen provecho. Thank you so much, mi hermano. You guys have a great evening. We'll be back tomorrow, 7 p.m. Pacific as usual. And until then, keep it clean. And Suleiman says, I don't keep up with boxers' brands and logos too much. That was definitely inspired by Islam. Wilder isn't even Muslim, so it's double jeopardy blasphemy. I'll leave on that note.